What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to see this one. So we're seeing the end of the road quickly approaching for Attorney General Pam Bondi, as she is now going back on her promises to release everything on Jeffrey Epstein, guys. I'm excited to get into this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Last night on Jesse Watters Primetime, Attorney General Pam Bondi said this.
What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
So we were looking today to find out more about why the government's been so suspiciously protective of Jeffrey Epstein. This afternoon, a bunch of conservative influencers left a meeting at the White House with binders that said the Epstein files, phase 1. Once the binders were opened, people were able to see flight records and Epstein's Rolodex and a list of masseuses. The masseuses' names were blacked out, and the information from the flight logs wasn't new. Neither was the Rolodex. When we began to feel duped, Pam Bondi released a letter that says, basically, I was duped too. In the letter addressed to FBI Director Kash Patel, Bondi basically says, I asked you for the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. I received 200 pages of documents. I asked if these were all the documents, and the FBI said yes. Late yesterday, I learned from a source at the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and the indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the evidence of these files. Bondi's demanding by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning that the FBI deliver everything to her office, including all records, audio, video recordings, all materials related to Epstein. And she ensures DOJ will disclose everything.
All right, you guys, so we've already seen 8 a.m. the next day has came and went. We've got empty promise after empty promise coming from Attorney General Pam Bondi. At first, I was saying, hey, wait, maybe it's taking a little bit of time to do some digging and make sure she could compile, gather all the information, evidence that they have, and then release it out in an organized fashion. But now it just seems like they're pushing this thing all the way aside, saying they have no evidence after coming out, making a fool of these journalists, handing them these binders to, wave around in front of the cameras and say, hey, this is phase 1 of rolling out the Epstein files. We've still got nothing. We now have Megyn Kelly going in, absolutely dropping a nuclear bombshell on Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying her days are numbered.
Kind of an attorney general would pretend she's giving new information to some of the president's most loyal advocates in the press, buying ink by the barrel. So either Pam Bondi knew she was about to embarrass some of his most loyal surrogates out there and did that willingly, or she didn't take the time to make sure what was in those binders. She was too lazy to actually figure out none of this is new. And yet she called a meeting with the influencers that included Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, and the sitting vice president. So she's either lazy and incompetent, or she willingly humiliated some of the president's most loyal supporters. Neither one of those is good, and that's why I'm sorry, but I'm going to predict her days are numbered as a member of the Trump administration.
All right, you guys, so that was Megyn Kelly absolutely going in on the incompetence of Attorney General Pam Bondi. She is not alone in feeling this way. We've had many folks joining the talks, also giving their reactions. We got Glenn Beck here saying that Pam Bondi should resign, not because of a cover-up, but for incompetence. Not only is there a full minute missing from the Epstein cell video, but it wasn't even the right camera angle. Makes no sense. What the DOJ gave us was a partial view of the facility, which just misses Epstein's entire cell. We've known for years there wasn't a working camera on his cell, so why release this video? And why not tell us there's a video glitch in advance of the release? This isn't about whether Epstein self-deleted or not, what matters more is real transparency and justice. But instead, what we got was absolute incompetence in the Attorney General's office.
Pam Bondi needs to be fired. Who is rolling this out? The little rascals? Panky, look, I got some videotape. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. This is such absolute incompetence.
Again, it doesn't prove that this, he was killed. However, it is the fact that they're releasing a video that has this many holes in it to a passing. Again, the person you're trying to make feel better about all of this is someone very interested in the detail of it, right? It's not someone who has a passing interest. You're not releasing this to some person who kind of knows who Jeffrey Epstein is. This is intentionally designed to try to push down what you're arguing is a conspiracy theory.
You're also, and you know what? I'm not arguing anything. I'm arguing this is incompetence.
Yes.
I'm not arguing that he killed himself or he didn't kill. I don't know. But this isn't helping. Not only are you saying, that these people have some interest in it. Well, these people are, interested in the details. No. You're releasing it to a bunch of people who many of them have the details, but many of them are hostile to what you're saying. So you better have a buttoned up case. You better not have anything that they find out later. Wait a minute. What?
Right. And that was Glenn Beck absolutely hitting the nail on the head. They're saying they dropped the ball on this in a major way. Then we got the grandfather of releasing the truth, Tucker Carlson, dropping a bombshell on us on why Pam Bondi's Justice Department is actually covering up the Jeffrey Epstein crimes. Check this one out.
The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list. They've got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. And I know him. He's not that, for whatever his sins. I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. They have a history of this.
All right, guys, it was Tucker Carlson revealing that there is something more sinister at hand. It's not as surface level as we believe. Maybe there's going to be implications of foreign intelligence and foreign agency or foreign leaders is what I should say. We got Gunther Eagleman here. He's not letting up. Folks are weighing in, and they're not backing down on Attorney General Pam Bondi because she made promises and they were not kept. Gunther Eagleman stating here that Attorney General Pam Bondi promised transparency on the Epstein client list, claiming it was on her desk just back in February. Now the DOJ says there is no such list. It doesn't exist. He's asking the question, should Bondi resign for misleading Americans? And actually, he conducted a poll. He went as far as to conduct a poll, and he got 20,000 votes, over 20,000 votes, asking, should Pam Bondi resign? And an astounding, overwhelming 85% of the votes were saying yes, she should resign. And I have to just be on board with that. Pam Bondi, you can't go around making these empty promises, doing these, it felt like, media rollouts with the whole binder thing in the phase one, making us really believe, getting us high hopes to believe that we're going to actually get something of substance and receiving a fat nothing burger. It makes no sense to me. And then Gunther Eagleman continued to go in on X on the Trump administration, their response to now release, and there's no evidence, nothing exists. There's no more files to be released to the public. He says he is very unsatisfied with Bondi's explanation of Epstein, saying that it creates more doubt and answers nothing. No answers on why an unsigned and undated memo was leaked to Axios. This is unacceptable. Bondi has to go. Look at what they said in response to this reporter's question.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday with Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
All right, guys, I'm not sure. It didn't even seem like Pam Bondi was sure in answering that one. It kind of disappointed me that, Trump tried to gaslight us there. I feel like I was being gaslit a bit, where he's saying, are we still on this whole Epstein thing? You guys really want to know? I don't even know if Pam wants to answer the question. I mean, that really just, I don't know. It saddens me to believe our leadership would, lie to us, or, they promised us MLK, they promised us JFK, the Epstein files. They promised it all, and we got a big nothing burger from it all. When you really look at the files and what was released, it was a bunch of stuff that we already knew. I just feel like we were lied to, we were duped. And we can't allow this to slide. Someone has to be held accountable for this massive dropping of the ball. But it does not stop there. We also have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Now she's on board with this new narrative that's being pushed out to gaslight the public that we're looking for something that does not exist.
DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
I've got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat.
So once again, we're being led on to believe that we're looking for something that simply does not exist. And I just want to take a little moment to give some credit. Hats off to Fox News' Pete Ducey there challenging Caroline Leavitt. Even though we tend to be on the same side, you still have to hold these folks in leadership accountable. Ask the tough questions because we, the public, deserve the answers to this one. We also have, speaking of Fox News, one of Fox News' most watched segments, Jesse Watters Primetime, going in with Patrick Bet-David on this serious letdown from the Trump administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi in specific.
The number one trending hashtag right now on X is Epstein. 2 million people have tweeted with the topic of Epstein. Number 2 is Nicki Minaj at 100,000. Comey's at 42,500. There is a reason why people are asking about this. This is by far, and I'm a supporter. 3 times I voted for this man. This is by far the biggest fumble of the administration they've had thus far. And here's the reason why. If you remember the president winning, he had a conversation with Fox News, the great Rachel Campos Duffy, and she asked, Mr. President, 9/11, yes. John F. Kennedy, yes. Epstein, he didn't say yes. He was a little bit hesitant of bringing that information out. Why? So why does his leadership team go out there and are like, we have this information and we're going to release this and cash? And let me tell you what we have with Pam Bondi out of the state of Florida. She knew everything about Bondi, about Epstein. Why are you fumbling this? Why are you not having an emergency meeting together to conversate and say, hey, we're going to be on the same page with messaging on this? All you have to do is send a message to everybody, say, God, let's have a conference call. Here's what we're going to be saying about this, because this was a very important issue to not 80% of the voters that voted for President Trump, but I think 20% of the voters wanted to know what's going to happen with Epstein, and it's a big letdown.
Definitely a serious letdown coming from the Trump administration. I'm with Patrick Bet-David on this one. I mean, it wouldn't have been as bad if we weren't promised that this information was going to be released, and they were just so confident up on their high horse saying, hey, Pam Bondi even literally saying it was on her desk, the information, all she had to do was review it and they were going to release it. Now they're saying that the reason it wasn't released because it was a bunch of nothing. What we're looking for does not exist. And coming right on the heels of this one, we got Elon Musk, tech billionaire, making a move of his own. Musk now unfollowing Pam Bondi. We got Arnie here on X saying Elon Musk knows a lot of things, perhaps the entire quote unquote Epstein list. And we can see here now that Elon Musk has given up on the Trump administration, now unfollowing Pam Bondi because he probably knows something that we're not privy to. We got Nick Sorta here on X saying the least that Pam Bondi could do is do a press conference right now. Let us know. I mean, there is no way you can close the Epstein investigation without answering a single question about it. That reeks of a cover up, and I'm right there on board with him. You got to come out and speak to the public. At least tell us something. I got one more clip I would like you to see. This is Liz Wheeler, actually one of the influencers that was at the White House and received one of the stage 1 binders of the Epstein file, evidence rollout, whatever you want to call it, coming from Pam Bondi's desk that contained a whole bunch of nothing. She's now coming out furious on the Chris Cuomo show. I want you guys to check out what she had to say.
I was at the White House that day when Pam Bondi gave out those white binders. I was one of the ones who received that binder. So when you say before I'm invested in this, yeah, I am invested in this because what she did made me look like I was adding to some kind of clickbait weirdo influencer thing online, which I don't do. People that watch me know I'm very prudent. I don't engage in hot takes. And I gave her the benefit of the doubt. You give the benefit of the doubt to people on your own side. I thought, okay, I don't know why she gave us those binders if she didn't have good stuff in those binders, but she said there was another story. A whistleblower told her there were truckloads of documents. Hopefully she'll produce. And I gave her time. I was patient. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing, Chris. That day in the White House, Pam Bondi bragged about making that cover sheet on that binder that you're showing on the screen. That cover sheet that reads the most transparent administration in history. Epstein files phase 1. She told us she made that. She printed it. She put it in that binder. How can you square that behavior with what she posted on the Department of Justice website on Sunday saying, actually, there's nothing here?
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. This one is just mind-blowing to see. I simply don't understand why you would be bragging and promoting the release of these files without ever seeing or having knowledge that they actually exist, which then raises a bunch of eyebrows, questions, and concerns. You're seeing it coming from a lot of right-wing Trump supporters. All the MAGA supporters are looking, and we're wide-eyed like, what is going on? Attorney General Pam Bondi. We're a little confused when we're seeing folks slipping through the cracks left and right. Pam Bondi not prosecuting anyone. Seemed like she was sitting on her hands throughout this entire, beginning of Trump's second term. But now we're just looking at her like, Pam Bondi, are you corrupt, or have you been flipped? Looks like Pam Bondi actually may not be working or playing for the same team as we thought she was. The way that she's sat by and, turned a blind eye to all the crime and corruption. She's not prosecuting none of these corrupt individuals or figures. And now she's flat out going back on her promises, flat out lying to the American folks about the non-existence of any Epstein documents or evidence. Guys, I would like to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. I really want to know what you guys can make of this with Attorney General Pam Bondi, because I just don't know at this point. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week.